Good evening. We're going to call to order the Concord Township Board of Trustee meeting for March 20th, 2024. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Technic.
Thank you. Mrs. Lucci?
Present.
Mr. McIntosh?
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Present. With us this evening is Gary Platko from the Riverside Schools, and he is going to provide the township with an update. So welcome, Mr. Platko, and other guests from Riverside. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I have a hard copy of the slides too. I can
Oh, thanks.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Gary Placko. I'm the Treasurer and Chief Financial Officer for Riverside Local Schools. With me tonight we have Board President Lori Kaniski and Superintendent Chris Rattino. We like to come out once or twice a year, give a financial update, what's going on at Riverside, and some other exciting news, just to kind of keep you guys informed on what's going on. So on the first slide on our slideshow, we have a summary of our 5-year forecast, and it's that's on the next slide. And then, so every November of each fiscal year, we file a financial forecast with the Ohio Department of Education, the 5-year plan to kind of show what our spending looks like, and we update that every May. Every school district is required to do this, and you can find these on the Department of Education website, and I also keep a copy on the Treasurer page on our website. We're currently in fiscal year 2024. Our beginning cash balance of our general fund was $25.6 million. Our total estimated revenues for this fiscal year is just over $52 million, with expenditures about $51.7 million, with an ending cash balance of about $26 million. Going into fiscal year 25 and 26, you can see it looks like we're starting to deficit spend. At the time of doing this forecast, we projected a 20% valuation increase due to pending legislation with the state. They were talking about doing a 3-year average that would pass the House, but never really went anywhere in the Senate. So when we do our May forecast, we're going to update that to 30%. That's about what we're hearing from the county auditor, to be around 31% increase in valuations, which will result in an increase in revenue for the district. And so we'll update this forecast as that time comes. And then when I come back, probably in the fall, we can explain more about what that looks like and how it affects our taxpayers. Going on to the next slide, we show our cash balances. We have 3 years of history, and then an estimate for fiscal year 24, and then going in the future, you can see that we have about 180-day cash balance currently, and as future years we start to deficit spend, and that will go down. Obviously, we'll adjust that when we do our 5-year forecast. We have a board policy that says that the district wants to maintain a 90-day cash balance at a minimum, and you can see we're certainly above that right now. We're in a pretty healthy condition. We don't plan on going back on the ballot for operating money anytime in the near future, maybe some years down the road, but we're in a financially good place, and we'll continue to monitor our expenses and as we go on. Moving on to the next slide, shows it's a pie graph of our revenues. The large blue section is general property taxes. This is class 1, class 2, which is residential and commercial real estate taxes, which makes up $30.7 million of our revenues, and that's about 59%. The next largest piece is unrestricted grants and aid. It's in the green. It's about $7.6 million. This is our state funding we get from the state of Ohio, and this is called the Fair School Funding Plan. Most of that revenue is from that. It also includes about $200-some thousand in casino tax revenue as well. The next largest portion in orange at the top is all other revenues. It's about $6 million, about 11% of our revenues. This includes the Lake County School Financing District, which is a joint levy of Riverside, Painesville, Madison, and Perry. That revenue is reflected in that category. It's about $3 million of it. And then also it includes interest income, classroom fees, pay to participate fees, rental fees, and just anything else miscellaneous, donations and things like that. Moving on to the next slide, since property taxes are our largest source of funding. This slide, you guys have seen this multiple times. It's listing our current levies that are in effect. We have a total general fund millage of 30.08 mils. It doesn't include the financing district, which is another 1.9 1.93, I believe it's on the next slide. Our last operating levy was in 2017. So we have mostly, we have one permanent improvement levy, and then we have our outstanding debt from the construction of Parkside and Riverview. So our total millage is 30.08 mils. And on the next slide kind of shows what that means, how we compare it to other school districts in Lake County. Riverside has the third lowest tax rate in Lake County. Even when you factor in the Lake County School Financing District, which is the 1.93 additional mills, we're still third lowest, right below Menor. You see Perry's at the bottom. They have the nuclear power plant. They're kind of the outlier, but typically the next lowest are Riverside, Madison, depending on who passed the last operating levy. Moving on to the next slide shows our expenditures. If you were to take this pie chart and do this for every school district in the state of Ohio, you probably all look very similar because we're a service organization, so salaries and benefits are our largest expenditures. So salaries, which is labeled personnel services up here, is $29 million, or 56% of our budget, with employee retirement and insurance benefits about $12.6 million, or 24%. And then purchase services about $7.2 million, or 14%. That includes like our utilities, instructional services, substitute teachers because they're outsourced, and other services that we contract with, nursing services and things like that. Moving on to the next slide, the Ohio Department of Education puts out a report every year. It's called the CUP report, or District Profile Report. They put out a lot of statistics out there for school districts. One of them is expenditure per pupil, so how much we on average spend per pupil. And the statewide average is 15,400. They have a similar district average, so the Ohio Department of Education identifies districts that are similar to ours throughout the state. That average is 13,800. We're currently at 13,132. We're the second lowest in the county. We feel that we tried to provide the best bang for the buck, with Fairport Harbor being slightly below us, Madison slightly above us. You can see where the other districts within Lake County fall. Next slide, just want to show that we received the Auditor State Award. This one's showing the 2022 award. We just finished up our audit for fiscal year 2023. We're told that we qualified for the award. We're just waiting to receive that. That would be our 9th consecutive year that we received that for having a clean audit. And then the following slide, this shows that we received the STARS Award, which is an award a newer award they put out for the highest achievement in open and transparent government. So basically, we're compliant with all public record laws and also implement several best practices. And we received this now for 4 consecutive years, which is how long the award has existed. Moving on to the next slide, we have our secure vestibule project that I've mentioned in the past. Back in February, during some of our professional development days, where there was no school in session, they started the work at Melridge Elementary School, replaced the front entryway. There's now 2 sets of doors. One side of it is now the security office, where the security officer has a home in that side of it, and the other side is the entrance. 2 sets of locked doors will have operable handicap button switches, ADA compliant, and all those things. The work's not done. They're doing more work over spring break, some of the wiring. Obviously, there's some plywood that was up in this picture. All that will be taken care of. And then there's some punch list items that need corrected that we're working on. This is all from a school safety grant. It's really about $1.8 million project we're working on. We received $400,000 through the Ohio K-12 safety grant. And we're under contract to do similar things at Lamouth Middle School, where we're going to do the same thing. We're a double set of doors, but also replace, if you know that there's a set of doors by the gymnasium on the side and some other doors in the back, all that and all the glass is going to get replaced. And we'll also do that at Buckeye. We'll create a vestibule there as well. And at the Riverside campus at the high school, we're actually building out an addition at the front entryway, so there'll actually be 2 sets of doors to get in. They'll be in the future. They'll be locked during the day with the officer up front. So we're really excited about those projects going on. Another exciting thing that we have going on the next slide, we received a grant that we partnered with the Lake County Sheriff's Office on this grant, and we received a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Community-Oriented Policing Services School Violence Prevention Program grant of $212,755 to implement a system by Vocera. It's basically like a walkie-talkie system. If you've been to like Hillcrest Hospital or Menor Hospital, they have these devices mostly in healthcare settings. It's like a miniature badge that you wear that you can communicate between all of our teaching staff. Administrators will have that, custodians, security officers, and things like that will have these. And we have a antiquated walkie-talkie system that everything goes across one channel, and it's old, it's analog, it's not even digital. So this whole new system here, the grant's covering 75% of that system, and we think it'll be a nice safety upgrade for us. It also has like a panic button on the side, so if they needed help but they didn't want to alarm anybody, they can hit the button on the side. It'll send a response team to their location based on where wireless access point they are near. So we just went through some testing through our schools, make sure our wireless network is good, everything's checking out, a couple little things we have to tweak, and then we're hoping by next school year to start rolling this out to all of our teachers. The grant's covering 400 of these devices, so we'll be rolling those out next school year. And then lastly, we have another exciting grant that we were awarded $2.5 million through the Ohio Department of Education Career Technical Education Grant. We applied for a building addition to the Riverside campus of about 4,500 square feet to add more career tech space for our construction, advanced manufacturing, and healthcare programs that we offer at Riverside. So that would go on the back of the high school, and we're working on hiring an owner's rep, and then we'll go into design of that and move forward. And
Great.
Timeline's about 2 years before we get everything done and constructed, but it's a tight timeline, but we're going to work through that. And we're hoping to do other enhancements to the school along with this project at the same time. So with that, that's all the prepared materials I have tonight. I'll open up if there are any questions from anybody or questions.
No, exciting.
Yeah, a lot going on. Nice to see the security enhancements at the schools and
Yeah, we're really excited about
the
that.
SRO staffing and all that. They have them at the middle school also?
What was that?
SROs?
We
They
have
staff
an officer in every building.
Okay,
So
okay,
we
great.
have 2 district-wide SROs that go through buildings, and then we have
Right.
a safety officer. That's full-time each building.
What, I assume just like every other budget around business government, you guys have had some cost drive. Like, what are some of the big things that have inflation? You guys have had a lot of expense drives or anything?
Yeah, I mean, we're experiencing inflation just like everybody else, and especially with construction too, trying to make improvements. Obviously, that's gone up a lot, and then also, salaries has been tough, especially in our non-teaching staff. Even competing with the Chick-fil-A's and Targets of the world, so we're looking at making adjustments to those positions. We made adjustments to bus drivers because we weren't able to get bus drivers that are leaving for other districts, and so that's been pretty competitive. So that's where we're seeing some pressure on those items.
Okay.
Has enrollment been pretty steady?
Enrollment's been pretty steady. So I know the trend in Ohio is declining enrollment. We've been pretty flat. Obviously, we have a lot of development here, so they say birth rates are down, but so most districts see declining. If you're in Columbus, there's a lot of explosion down there of enrollment, but we're pretty level. And
Okay,
Painesville Township has a large development possibly coming, and so we're obviously monitoring that as well.
great.
And then one more question with the Vocera, if they hit that panic button, who does it go to?
We'll set up it'll go to like the safety officer, probably building
Okay,
principal.
so in the school safety,
within
so
the
not,
school.
okay.
And we have
Not to like the sheriff's office or,
right. There's actually a different system that in the office of each school has, we call it Bob, it's a big orange button.
Right.
And that's the button you push that would call all first responders to come to
Okay.
the school.
okay,
But this system would allow, if they can alert the secretary or the principal to push that button if there's a real emergency that was needed. But a lot of times, you have students who have like a medical emergency or seizures, things like that happen. So that could also be,
okay.
and they can also just call on the device too, but they can also do it silently as well.
Okay.
Great, thank you for the update,
you.
Mr.
Yeah,
Plank.
thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, moving on into the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the March 6, 2024 regular trustees meeting minutes.
I will second those.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And into the elected officials report, and we will start this evening with our fiscal officer, James Techman.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. Just wanted to, this is brief, and it's going to be my last meeting here, and I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure or an honor to serve the Concord community and work with the 3 terrific trustees I've had an opportunity to work with. It's also been a pleasure assisting our town administrator, fire chiefs, department heads, and their staffs. And I wish everybody continued success conducting current and future current business of the Concord Township. And finally, I would like to wish everybody a safe and happy Easter holiday.
Thank you, Jim. Moving on to the trustees report with Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope everyone enjoyed their St. Patrick's Day. I wish to congratulate all the candidates who won their elections yesterday. It's good to see some people getting out there and voting, and just a reminder to please vote for those elections. Hope everyone is ready for our Easter egg hunt this Saturday. I think it's going to be a good turnout at the community center. Thanks to our rec team for organizing and working this event. I did have a call with resident concerns regarding the BZA variance request on Cryle and Hunting Lake, which was tabled again and will be heard next month. We do understand everyone's concerns, and we do think that all questions and concerns are valid, so please continue to provide feedback. I did receive a call from a resident this week who had concerns about some utility work done on their street, the after effects of the road conditions. Thank you to Andy and our service director for taking care of. Also some falling trees on Girdle that we're taking care of as well. Continue to answer questions regarding the safety services and how our residents are affected. And just a reminder that it doesn't only affect our law enforcement, our decrease in the number of deputies also affects our fire personnel and operations. And we are looking at every angle possible to find solutions. We seek any questions and feedback from our residents. Also want to thank our EMS team for recognizing a important heart rhythm that saved a person's life. Again, we get those emails very often, so thank you to the team.
Cool. Yeah.
Last, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, Jim, for being with us, for stepping up when we really needed you. It's been over a year now, right?
Yeah.
I know this is your last meeting with us, but you are always welcome. I know where you live, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for keeping Concord Township fiscally sound, and we will miss you. And good luck, and go enjoy Florida more now. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to recognize Jim for his service. He joined the team at a time that was a shock to all of us. We were all kind of on our heels, and it was a tough journey. And we picked him. I think his experience and what he brought to the team was exactly what we needed, and it worked out well. And Jim, really enjoyed working with you. Definitely gonna miss you, but we want to say thank you for everything that you did, and not just for the board and staff here, but what you put into it was something that the residents of Concord appreciate. So, most want to say thank you for your service. I also want to congratulate the winners of elections yesterday, and I did go out and do the rovering again, as I've done many times, and continue to love it. It's not much to love at 4:30 in the morning when you're walking out the door, but at the end of the day, it's great. Really enjoyed that. I know that we were able to finally see some resolution or progress as far as Ellison Creek, and we finally got the memo from the prosecutor's office about the easements or lack thereof or whatever down. That's resolved, and thank you to Andy for leaning on and being the conduit and helping those residents and getting that information to them. I know that's not necessarily done, but at least the ball's kind of in their court, and we'll help them as best we can. I did meet with a resident last week along with our service director regarding the Kellogg Creek restoration. We're still sort of working our way through some issues there with people, but hopefully we'll take care of that one. I also did speak with some residents about the development on Crowell Road, and that's complicated. We're hearing a lot of different feedback from people, and some of it's the usual anti-development stuff, and some of it's more concise, specific concerns about the development. As always, I encourage residents to participate with our BZA, to show up at the hearings as the best. If you can't, then submit your remarks in writing, have them read. All of it matters. It's important. Been continuing to work on the local government fund project, and last Friday we had our quarterly JED meeting. Our collections are up this year a little bit, so we're ahead of 23. That's good, and we are working through some issues because people are coming in, the payroll departments aren't necessarily recognizing. So our administrator's been working with Painesville Township Finance Department and Rita, our administrator, is working with Rita to work on getting the collections correct. So that's turned up to become some diligence we need to do to get those dollars to Concord. And the Silver Lode project, which is the project to assess Quail Hollow hotels moving forward. I had an opportunity 2 weeks ago to go through the property, which was very fascinating. I got a lot of engagement when I shared those pictures on my Facebook page. A lot of people were interested. I learned a lot of things I didn't know about that history of the property and its condition. So we're really looking forward to that getting done and hoping to get some development attracted there. And with that, I just want to wish everyone a happy Easter, and we will see you in April. And it was nice to come to a meeting with the sunshine still out.
Yeah, great.
True. Yeah.
Thank
Cold.
you, thank you, Mr.
Cold,
McIntosh.
yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd also like to thank Jim Technip for his service here to Concord Township. I mean, he stepped in a hot time in Concord Township. We were in the middle of a fire station project, and your experience was invaluable, and we really appreciate everything you've done for the township. You will be missed. We wish you the best in your future, and thank you for everything. I did have the opportunity to speak at the Lake County Eastern Chamber of Commerce meeting last week. I touched on the agreement with the JED and Silver Lode Consulting regarding the Quail Hollow property, and hopefully some generation or some to develop some possible initiatives on how to improve that property or revitalize that property. Also gave updates on some of the new businesses, the ice cream store, as well as the car wash that's coming into Concord Township. And I did also field some calls about Ivy Ridge, as you did also. Other than that, I didn't have any other calls from any residents, and I would also like to wish everybody else a happy Easter also. So with that, we will move on to departmental reports and our administration. Andy Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer, members of the board, Mr. Technip, good evening. I'll start with items on the agenda. Item B is Resolution 2024 TAC 10. That is a resolution which appoints Mr. Trustee McIntosh to the Lake County's Next Gen 911 Committee. As you know, we're getting ready to go through a big change here in the very near future in about a year and a half. And so the LCTA had 2 slots. So it'll be Mr. Hillier from Painesville Township and Mr. McIntosh from Concord Township. So that appointment resolution, I'd appreciate favorable passage. A couple of POs on there for Atwells and Phoenix Safety. That's standard firefighter stuff for uniforms and turnout gear. Those have both been budgeted since the beginning of our budget cycle. A couple other things. I'm still working on alternative funding solutions for the water line extensions. I refuse to give up on getting those matching funds so that we can get the water lines extended on Girdled and Auburn. I have another meeting next week, which is more fact-finding and to see if I can partner. And then I will be, once that meeting's over with, I'll be reaching out to OWDA, Ohio Water Development Authority in Columbus, to see if I can get a meeting with them to discuss our options. So 2-step process, but you know, we're continuing to chew through that. We did get an update, and I'm working with Captain Patterson from the Sheriff's Office. We received an update on the flock cameras. They've been out. They did their site survey on Tuesday, and so it looks like they're getting ready to actually drop them on the poles at the locations that have been discussed and coordinated with the Sheriff's Office. So we should have 2 new flock cameras in the township here in the very near future. A couple of other reminders, Mr. McIntosh touched on the Ellison Creek sanitary issue. I do want to thank the Lake County Department of Utilities. They have been kind enough to do us a favor, for lack of a better term, and they're keeping that manhole cleaned out twice a week until the repairs have been taken care of. The property owners where the repairs are needed have been notified, and I continue to track that issue. So that should be resolved hopefully in about a week. A couple of other things. There will be an Understanding Your Taxes class coming up at the community center. Those classes will be on April 2nd and April 10th. There will be 2 sessions for each day, starting at 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. So depending on your schedule, you can make the morning class or the evening class. In addition, the April 2nd class at 9 a.m. will also be filmed so that we can place that video on our website for anybody that can't make one of the 4 opportunities to attend that class. Solar eclipse, tons and tons of chatter on the solar eclipse. It's only a few weeks away. It's on April 8th. I encourage our residents to plan their travel trips accordingly. Try to avoid April 8th. The Lake County EMA is calling for very heavy traffic in the Lake County area. I think every hotel is booked. There are various watch parties, if you will, in select locations throughout the county. But, we're directly in the path, so it's going to be very crowded, especially once the eclipse is over with, as everybody is exiting to go back to wherever they came from. They're expecting some pretty heavy traffic on our main thoroughfare, so be conscious of that, please. Next coffee with the administrator is scheduled for Thursday, the 28th. That's at 9 a.m. At the community center. I've had great turnout. I look forward to chatting with everybody. Those have turned out to be fun and informative for both sides. So I've really enjoyed those. And I know Mr. Dondorfer was at the last one with me, and you got peppered with a couple of questions too. So it was
good.
It was
It was
good.
enjoyable.
Yeah, you held your own well. I was proud of you. Aside from wishing everybody a happy Easter, I'm gonna pile on a little bit. You came to us at a very dark time. I mean, we had just lost Amy, and it sucked, and there's no other way to describe it. And I appreciate you stepping in, and I can't thank you enough for stepping into that role. And I know that wasn't fun or easy, but you kept the ball in play and you got us through. So I appreciate your work. Thank you. And that concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Moving on into the audience portion of the meeting. If there's anybody that wants to participate, please step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Nobody? Okay, moving on into old business. Seeing that we have none, we will move into the new business for the evening.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the February financial report.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 2024-10, appointing Trustee Morgan McIntosh as a member to the Lake County 911 Program Review Committee.
And I will second that.
All in favor?
And I think he's going to be a fine,
Yeah, you'll
Thank
he'll
you.
do a
very
good
well,
job.
yeah.
All in favor.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the fire department PO in the amount of $17,000 for uniforms.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the fire department PO to Phoenix Safety Outfitters in the amount of $5,160 for turnout gear.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve fire department conditional offer of employment to Dylan Helmley as regular part-time firefighter, EMT basic, pending background check and physical, effective 3/21/24.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and moving into future meetings and announcements, Mr. Technip.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. On April 1st at 3 p.m., a staff meeting will be held at Town Hall. On April 2nd at 7 p.m., a zoning commission meeting will be held at Town Hall. On April 3rd, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., trustee office hours will be held in the conference room at Town Hall. And following that trustee office hours meeting at 7:30 p.m., a trustee meeting will be held at Town Hall. And that again will be on April 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Technip. And before we close this evening, I'd like to again thank Mr. Technip for his participation and efforts here in Concord Township. If you would step up here, we'd like to recognize you and present you with a gift from the township. Here,
I'll take the picture.
A little commemoration of our service. Very nice.
Yeah, turn this way.
This is surprise.
I say whiskey?
Whiskey.
Perfect. Okay.
Congratulations.
Met a lot of people too, and good about
It was fun, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
All right, well, that concludes our meeting this evening. Have a good evening, Concord Township, and thank you.